Help support the companies that support our community. I grabbed this piece because it's kind of a plain wood, so when you're doing basket illusion, you want just not that much character in it, I guess, because the burn lines and the color, they'll show up a lot better if you have a lighter color wood. So what I did is put it on the lathe. I had the lathe speed about 500 and used the roughing gouge to knock all the limbs off of it and get it kind of true. And then once I got to that point, I switched over to the bowl gouge, and as I'm turning this, I'm slowly turning the speed up little bits at a time until I got it completely true. After I got it true, I put a tenon down on one end of it, so I used the Easy Wood rougher for that, and I'm going to use the big jaws, so I made the tenon pretty good size, so it's got some meat to hang on to, because it's going to be a pretty big vase and I need to hollow this out. And after I got that done, went ahead and flipped it around, put it in the chuck, and brought the tailstock back up and started shaping it with the spindle gouge. So when you're doing beading like this, you don't have to sand it after you turn it. So just try and make nice light little cuts for your finishing cuts, but you don't want to torn too much, but the beading tool is going to recut everything, so you don't have to be real precise or sand it. As I was shaping it, there was a little bark enclosure on it that I really needed to get out, because when you do the beading tool, that's gonna leave a hollow little spot there, so that's why I went ahead and I kept stopping and checking to see where it was, and that's why I brought the diameter down a little bit more. And then I put a little collar on the top of it. Once I got it all done, went ahead and started with the beading tool. So I started the beads right underneath the collar, and the beading tool is from D-Way, and I'll have a link down below in the description to that. I had some questions on the last video I did with the beaded boxes. So with this tool, tip it up at an angle like that. You just put the little edge right in the groove of the last one and rock it back and forth a little bit. And when you're doing it, keep an eye on the actual bead, because that's how you tell when it's actually round. So if you're looking at it, you can see that flat spot. If you're looking at say the top of the vase, you can see that it's still flat. So keep doing it until that rounds over, and then move on to the next one. Went ahead and went all the way down with this. Actually, I didn't go all the way down with it. I went down quite a ways, and once I get it hollowed out and everything, then I'll bring it down a little bit further and do some more beads on the bottom of it. But I just want a little bit of meat down there, so when I'm hollowing it out, there's some material down there supporting it. After I got it beaded, I went ahead and grabbed the wire burner and burnt all the lines in it. So you just hold it on there, a little bit of pressure on it, and once it starts to smoke, if you hold it on there a little bit longer, they'll be a little bit darker too. So just kind of judge how you want the lines to look. It's really easy. You just go down, put pressure on it. So as far as coming around the top of it, so when it's curved like that, obviously you can't get the wire burner in there, and playing cards work fantastic. You can bend them, you can wrap them around. So I just put two of them together, same thing. You just hold it on there, it'll start to smoke. You can see when it starts to burn, and then as the diameter gets smaller, you just bend them a little bit more. I use the end of the card on some of them too. So you can really get into a tight little diameter depending on how much you curl the cards around. But it doesn't take long with these either. It starts to smoke pretty quick, so it burns the lines in there. After I had them all burned, I went ahead and drilled it out with a Forstner bit. So I didn't show all of them, but I put a couple extensions on and got it drilled out all the way to the bottom. So this is really a quick way to set your depth, and it takes out that material in the center. Just decide what diameter you want the hole in the top, grab that Forstner bit and drill it out. So I go down, with the first one just in the chuck, and then I put the extensions on and went down the rest of the way, but it's a pretty easy process. After I had it drilled out, I went ahead and switched to the #1 hollower and went ahead and started cleaning it out. So I went in, got out the majority of it down in there, about 3 or 4 inches, and then I grabbed the #2 hollower and got right back around that collar. So it reaches, the #2 reaches right around the corner there. You can get it, clean out all that material. And then I cleaned out a little bit more with the #1. And then I'm going to say about halfway down through the vase, I switched over to the Pro Series hollower and cleaned the rest of it out with that. You can't really see anything, see what's going on inside of it, so I didn't film that part, but I used the Pro Series for the bottom half of it. After I got it hollowed out, I went ahead and brought the foot down, and that was the material I was leaving on there just for stability when I was hollowing out. And then after that, I went ahead and used the beading tool again. I think it was 4 or 5 more beads at the bottom of it before switching over to the wood burner. So I did have a lot of questions about the wood burner, so I'll leave a link down below in the description where I got it. So it's just a platform on just a steel rod that goes into your tool rest. So, and that little wooden thing this is just a razor tip wood burner that I have in there. I just took a block, carved out a little notch in it, and put it down there. So I don't know if you can buy something like that, but it's just basically, it's a piece of maple, but you could use a 2x4, just something to hold it in there. I put a little wedge in there, put some painter's tape on it. It holds it in there nice. And the cutting tip on that or the burning tip is just a flat, straight one. So you just take your time. Don't try and, when you have it lined up there, don't try and pull that cutter because it'll follow the grain. So you can kind of see here, I'm just going in and out on it and to burn every little bead on there. So it takes quite a while. It's just a long process, but I love the basket illusion stuff. So on this one, here's here's what I did. So the last one, you got a lot of time to think about what you're doing. When I did the basket, I wanted to see what it would look like if I didn't do just a normal every other one, every third one. I wanted to see what it would look like if you did, something odd. So I did, on this one, I moved 1 space over on the indexing wheel, and the next one I moved 2 spaces, and then 3 spaces, and then 4 spaces, and so on up to 8. So I did that. So it looked like it was gradually getting better. I really just wanted to see what it would look like when you colored it in, if it looked like those little segments were getting larger. And I know you could just burn the whole thing even and then color in like 2 spaces and then 3 spaces, but I just wanted to see what it would look like. That's the whole point of this. When you're sitting there burning lines in it, you're pondering life's mysteries, like if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Do these cargo shorts make my butt look big? And by the way, if a tree falls in the woods, of course it makes a sound. The world does not revolve around us. It makes a sound. Anyway, I just wanted to see what it looked like. And I had a couple other ideas I was trying to play around with too. I wanted to see if you turned the actual burner on its side and you burnt the lines at an angle and just did regular pattern, but all the lines were burned at an angle. I wonder what that looked like. Or if you put the piece in there off center, what that would do to the lines and how they look. So anyway, lots of free time. Well, after I got all the lines burned, I went ahead and switched over and flipped it around and took the foot off there. So Again, spindle gouge just brought it down, came around the underside of it, cupped it out just a little bit so it sits nice and flat. And that's when I started coloring, was after that. And I just kind of went with the simple pattern on it. I just did black for every other one for the black, did, you know, a few bands on it. And then because it didn't lay out exactly right, if there's any mathematicians out there, I'm sure you could figure out, you know, going like every 3 might work out, you know. But I don't know, because I went added an extra one to every one of them, but just went with the black pattern. And then I had that little spot left over at the end, so I went ahead and striped that all the way down with the terracotta. There we go. It is about 9 inches tall and 5 inches in diameter up here at the top. I'm not sure what kind of wood it is. Like I said, I got it years ago and it's just been sitting around. So I love the basket illusion stuff. I was just kind of playing around to see what it would look like if you did something a little bit different. So I know they get like really wide over here. The furthest one is 8 spaces apart. But I was just trying something new. And then on that back one, I'll put a picture up right here, a detailed picture of it. But I think it looks kind of cool. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you've ever tried anything like this, please, my email is in the description. I would love to post pictures on my website. If you want to share them, you can always email them to me and I will put them up there. But it was a fun project. I was talked about too, maybe doing one where turning the burning tip on an angle. So I'm kind of curious to see what kind of effect that would do on it too. If you did something like that, it might look really cool. But another fun one. I just you got a lot of free time when you're just sitting here burning lines. All right. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time. Take care.